right. We're doing this. So it's been a while that I wanted to get this started, but today something was just like pushing me a little bit into the unknown more than I've been allowing on a regular day basis. And let me just start by saying things are getting weird. I don't know about you, but I am looking around and I'm just stunned for words. We're living in some really interesting times, to say the least. And we're going to talk a little bit today about what it means to be human. What does it mean to live with integrity? We're going to have some tea. I hope you have something great to drink. I have some strawberry leaf tea here. You see, I bet you didn't know that you could use the leaves of the strawberries, but that just goes to show you that nature leaves nothing, leaves no stone unturned. Everything is accounted for. Everything is taken care of. So we're going to come out guns blazing today and talk a little bit about how overpopulation, the theory of overpopulation, is really just an attempt to make people triggered through shame, because on some level we've all experienced shame. And anytime that something remains internally unresolved, unattended to, anybody can come and just poke or scratch in the right spot, and that can just be that little trigger. And that's why it's so important that we do shadow work. That's why it's important that we understand ourselves, where we have like an accountability process with ourselves, with our thoughts, with our memories, making sure we're keeping up with that. It's a practice. That essentially is what a spiritual practice is. It's really, to understand spirit is to understand the self, and to understand the other is to understand the self. And through this work, we can have a deeper understanding of who we are, have a stronger connection, and in that, we're not going to let these thoughts go unchecked that can create situations or circumstances in our life that are manifesting just dark energy that life doesn't have to be like that. Life really doesn't have to be suffering. So my name is Reem, and you can find me at Vipassamama. That's Vipassamama. Haven't had to spell that. But Vipassamama, the idea came, my husband and I attended a Vipassana while we were almost 8.5 months pregnant. I'm going to leave that story for another call, another dial in. But Vipassamama, the word Vipassana comes from, it means to see things as they really are, to see the reality of things. And when I think about how does a mother see the world, I think that it always comes from a lens of love. We see the world with this lens of love, and to see the reality of the world in love, meaning that nothing is going to take me out of my center, my space. So I just got done teaching my workshop, Creation Pelvic Redemption. You can find out more information about that at www.vipassamama.com. And the essence of this is that we all are born from woman. This is an irrefutable truth. We all come from woman. We come from a pelvis. We each have our own pelvis. And in that, we have this ability to create. When we talk about creation, we are not just talking about life, the essence, like babies. we're talking about anything. You can literally source the energy and the power within yourself to create whatever it is that you feel you need to birth. And we should actually, in fact, be creating 90% of the time. 10% of the time we should be consuming. But this world, as you'll notice, will uncover together. And I want to preface that by saying that this is an opportunity for me to have creative expression and to get out my considerations, my thoughts. And I stand by what I say. I will never lie to you. I really believe what it is that I'm saying. That leaves room for me to be corrected. I am not always right, but I'm not lying. So what I'm telling you is what I firmly believe. I believe it because I have learned it, likely through experiential learning, which is the most powerful learning source that we can tap into on this plane. When we experience something for ourselves, we really totally embody that. And that's why the lesson remains internally. But if we're smart, we can learn from the mistakes of others. And if we're just surviving, we're at least hopefully learning from our own mistakes. But this is a process for me to be vulnerable, explore the deepest things within my mind, get them out there. So I am creating and helping support people who are looking for that little support, because we see that there's some things happening in the world, really unusual things, and we're not really sure who we can trust. And my job isn't to get you to trust me. My job is to get you to trust you. If everyone in the world just trusted themselves a little bit more, the world would be a definite more vibrant place. But the reality of it is that as we're watching this unfold, and really nothing has changed, the veil is being lifted, and so we're just learning to cope. But as this is happening, we're getting to see what people are really made of, and we're seeing who's living inside of their body, who's connected to what's actually happening, and who's just vacant, who's just checked out, who doesn't want to have more autonomy and is continuing to just give up these rights, these what it means to be a human. What is the essence of being a human? And part of being a human is being able to think, to critically think, being able to ask questions, asking difficult questions, being able to examine the self, being able to examine the other. And, for me, these are critical points of being human. And when I start having other people think for me or make decisions for me or taking away my autonomy, which begins to infringe on what it means to be a human. So let's talk a little bit about integrity today. So excited to get to share just like lots of things with you guys. And again, if I say something that's wrong, I stand to be corrected. I welcome you to engage into a conversation, a respectful conversation, where you're presenting new evidence for me to review, and absolutely, and you'll watch me in real time apologize or correct myself. Excuse me. I don't need to apologize. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I will be corrected, and I'll happily take that with humility and curiosity. And but again, let's keep this like a loving environment. Like I say, I love you and I disagree. We're allowed to have different thought processes, but keeping in mind that there is only one truth. And this is a tough pill for people to swallow, because we've been fed lots of lies. We'll talk about all the different lies that we've been fed. But one of the biggest lies that we've been fed is that you're right and I'm right. The truth is, everyone everywhere thinks that they're right. but you both can't be right. It's just not possible. One of you, there's one truth, like there's one truth. When we're talking about sides, like there's his side, her side, and then the truth, but there's irrefutable truths that exist in nature, in the universe, irrefutable truths that we cannot deny. And it's not possible for there to be, you're both right, everybody's right. So what does that mean? What does that mean on a deeper level? I want to talk about this integrity of being a human. At what point in time is it okay for us to start giving up our rights, and what are basic human rights, and what are things that do not belong to us? And the question that I've been really sitting with lately has been, if I am the question that I've really been sitting with has been, how long can I feel comfortable not speaking up? If I know that there is being censorship, if I know that there are people that are on the verge of, we talk about waking up. What does that mean to wake up? Well, I'm not claiming I'm awake, that's for sure. I am sleeping to a lot of things. But I've been starting to really question things that are happening in the world, what we're talking about, why we're talking about them. And if I just close my eyes and I'm sitting in my house and I close my eyes for a moment and I think to myself, forgetting everything that I'm being told, forget everything that's going into my head, what, if anything, what is really happening in the world right now? Is there anything that's going on? And I do a body scan. I check in with my breath. I check in with where I am. I get into my body, not out of my body, not projecting out of my body, but I get into my body. And what's happening right now? Well, nothing's actually happening. Nothing's happening. There's no war outside of my home. There's no famine. Time's not running out. Money's not running out. Food's not running out. Water's definitely not running out. Everything's okay. Okay. So then the only time that things are not okay is when I'm being told something. And where is this coming from? What source is this coming from? That's not an internal source. And I know that internally my body can recognize when we're in a moment of danger, when we're in a moment of fear. But what's actually happening instead is that I am creating that moment of danger or fear. And that creates a destabilizing cycle in my day-to-day life. So this ability to critically think about what's going on and to ask questions and to observe and to not get ping-ponged one way or the other. To not get ping-ponged between the anxiety, the angst, the shame or the guilt, all of these emotions that are living within us. They exist all within everybody, but not being swept away, if you will. And this is part of what integrity is, to be a human, is to have to live a life where you are questioning, where you are critically thinking. How can you live in integrity when you're being told what to think? And so as we talk about this waking up, everybody's sleeping to something. So being careful not to put yourself up on a pedestal that oh, look at me, I'm awake. That's the trap of the pit and the pedestal. So the pedestal is when we idolize someone, we're told not to have false idols. When we idolize somebody, we put them up on this pedestal and they're just so incredible, so amazing. And then the second that they make an error, we throw them to the pit, damn them. You see how you're swinging from one end of the pendulum to the other? That's not balance. That doesn't bring the level of neutrality that we need to walk through any situation. So even something that is disgusting, something that's happening out in the world is totally, totally disgusting, we need to approach it with like equanimity. Because then otherwise it's destabilizing us. That's not happening with something that's happening externally, that's something happening internally with us. No one can make you feel anything. So we're all sleeping to something, to some degree. And I told you that question for me has been like, at what point do I say anything? Because I know I can't wake people up, and I don't even want to wake people up. There's this term, they say wake rape. Wake rape is when you wake someone up before they're meant to wake up. And you do it by like spieling all of the horrific things that are happening, and they're mortified because their brain and their body cannot handle or digest everything you just told them. Wake rape, look it up. So you can't wake someone up before they're ready, or you will by wake raping them. But what about the people who are on the verge? What about the people that just need like a tipping of the scale to be like, oh, wait a second. Hold on, but something's not right here, right? Like there's something weird about what's happening here, right? So I've been like imagining this Reem, this version of Reem who just needed that person. And I know those people that made a shift in my life. Those are like my mentors. Those are my soul family, my, spirit guides that got me onto my path, that helped me. Like I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't know what I know, and I know nothing. I know nothing. But I think about that Reem, and she just needed that something. And so I hope in the process of me being vulnerable, me displaying what I believe to be is a high quality human being, that I keep myself in check, that I explore those deep, darker emotions, which are, the shadow isn't, it's not bad. Our shadow just needs to be integrated into our light. The shadow isn't bad. These qualities aren't bad. They're bad when they go unchecked. It's bad when it goes unmanaged, not considered, not like neglected or suppressed. It needs to be expressed and integrated. So by doing this evaluation of myself and just the study of the self, the study of the other, and you guys get to just know me and how my brain is processing and what I'm doing in this process. And if I make a mistake or not, that I hope that in this journey that it can allow you to check in with yourself and see what resonates with you, what's happening in the world. And if I'm a voice that tips the scale, even just for one person. When I was young, I really just wanted to write a book, and I wanted so badly to write this book. And I just said that I don't need it to be a New York Times bestseller, but if one person reads this book and it makes them say, I never thought of it that way, then I did a good thing. So I just heard the baby waking up. That's all the time that we got for today, but I'll be doing this. Be joining me. We're going to have a good time together.